So, talking this year and the kind of tornado mess that it evolved into.
Yeah.
Um, what was the worst part? What's been the worst part and the best, or what was the worst part and the best part of having to switch to digital learning
hmm
when we did?
I think the worst part for me was um it just had this really strange effect on me where I was so there was no separation from school and home.
Mm-hmm.
And because I will make myself very anxious about doing well,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of evolved into every time I was not doing schoolwork, I would have guilt and thoughts of like, you should be working right now, and like, what are you even doing? And it was like this issue where I was always thinking there was no detachment from when I should be doing schoolwork and when I shouldn't. And so I would, get even like panic attacks because I was like, you have this thing due in 2 days and you're not doing it, which is just so not healthy. And it also caused this sort of thing where if I wasn't doing schoolwork, I was doing something very distracting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still working on this because I do think it like sparked some intense depression in me
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to feel like I would not do things that made me happy or that made me sad. I would just do like very neutral things because I think the situation was like such a strong, I'm doing it back but you can't see. The situation was such a strong emotional thing that like I have not watched a TV show since it started because I did not want to feel. um, and that is something I'm working on because I want to do the stuff I enjoy, but it's such a weird thing where I would sit down and it's like I have no desire
Mm-hmm.
to do things I like.
So this is a random question. When
Mhm.
did you know for certain about, so you're going to college. When
Yeah.
did you know for certain that you were going where you're going?
Oh my God. It was such a horrible process. I knew, I believe it was March 19th.
Okay.
And
That's not that's like that for people who don't know,
yeah,
that's like a week after we stopped.
right. And then March 19th, um, my parents, like, I knew when I opened the email that I was going there, but my parents still had to come to terms with it, I guess,
Yeah.
and wanted to see, at that point I was like, I don't care what any other place says, but they still wanted to see that. So they had me wait like a couple weeks to do the deposit.
Mhm.
So I don't think I officially did it until like the end of the month,
Mhm.
and that was frustrating. But the college process was a lot for
Yeah.
me. Just emotionally, I was not ready
Mhm.
to apply, and I really did not start doing it until the summer.
Mhm.
And my parents were very worried about it, not because they need me to go to like an Ivy League school, just because they were like, you work so hard. We want you to be rewarded for that and we want you to be happy. You know what I mean? And most places, I did not get in like anywhere. um, like 4 out of 11 schools, I believe, was the statistic.
Mhm.
Um, and obviously, like, it doesn't matter at all. And like, I am definitely going where I want to go, and I'm very excited. But the process of that was very scary because I really also did not start getting, I had finished all my applications in September because I did my classic, like, being pressured by a deadline and overworking it because I don't like having it hanging over my head.
Mhm.
Um, and like the first few, like there was one week where I got acceptances and the rest of them when I would hear back was rejections, and so it was a long time before I even knew I was going somewhere, and that was stressful. And I think my family was so worried about it, and it's just like it's a horrible process.
Yeah.
It really is for everyone, and I wish it wasn't. I don't know, like it's so awesome the opportunity we have to go to these great schools, but the actual
Applying bit.
yeah, and it like it's expecting, and then you have to go to school and be normal.
Yeah.
Well, people hype it out to be like the most important decision of your life, and it almost feels like a social experiment to take all these 18-year-olds and put them in a building where
Yeah.
they're waiting to hear this huge thing and act normal. And most people don't talk about it, which
Yeah.
I completely understand, but it was also like so weird to know we all were going through it and not discuss it. And I honestly think, like, just from all the firsthand experiences I've heard this year, like, in my personal experience, like, something needs to change.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Like, I think it's gotten to the point where it's, like, at the peak of unhealthy.
Hmm.
And I don't know what needs to change, but something does.
Yeah. See, okay. So a little bit about my college application
Yeah.
process and experience. So I was like you to like a pretty large degree.
Mhm.
We were both people who talked, I think, a little bit more openly about like what like what
Yeah.
we're doing. I think like I definitely like I think part of it was me trying to like distance myself from it emotionally and like not
Mhm.
let it hurt me as much. So I just kind of like threw the facts around like
Yeah.
water. But
And for me, I think definitely I'm the type of person who, like, the way my anxiety works is like I will need to get confirmation that like this is not true and it's just in my head.
mhm.
And I will need to say like, did I do this? Like, did I do this or whatever? So not talking about it was like really hard.
Yeah,
And I would just like throw it out there just to even like have said it to someone and not be stewing on it in my own head.
yeah. Anyways.
Mhm. And I think for kids with mental health problems, it's
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
10 times worse because I really genuinely believe, I think that anyone can get depressed and anyone can get anxiety. There are certain points in people's life where it can happen, where like it will occur for you and it won't be like a clinical thing where it's your whole life. That's just, I think COVID is a great example of that. I'm sure a lot of people, as a result to what was happening,
Yeah.
experienced it for the first time. And
Yeah.
I would see those effects in people who were not, struggling with that before.
Okay. So, a couple more questions.
Hmm.
Um, if you could tell yourself as a freshman or like whenever your hardest moments were over high school, if you could give yourself some advice, what would it be? And like, do you have any general advice for balancing your mental health and academics and extracurriculars for kids like starting high school or starting senior year and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I have a ton. Um, First of all, I think you should do things because you want to do them. I have always stood by that where like the classes I'm taking, they're hard, but they're hard and I'm interested in them. And
Mhm.
the activities I'm doing, like I love them.
Mhm.
And I know that there is that pressure, talking about college to build out your resume and everything. But if you are doing something you don't enjoy, it's going to really negatively affect you.
Mhm.
Because there is a lot of effort that you and like time that you have to put into anything you do in high school.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should waste it on something that is making you feel worse. It should be an escape for you, or at least a good moment in your day.
Mhm.
And I would also say, something that I really struggled with freshman and sophomore year was like either not talking about mental health at all or
Mhm.
talking about it with people to the point that it was unhealthy and that everything, like, we would run to each other with everything the moment it would happen instead of, talking to professionals and talking to
Mhm.
adults and just thinking about it because you don't realize like it's so good to talk about your issues and normalize them, but it also, if you are talking about them too much, it actually affects other people and will, stress them out.
Yeah.
It's called like there's a whole thing where it's like suicide circles where if one person in that group is feeling that way, it will like sort of spread to everyone. Um, and it's a really hard balance to find. Um, so I would just say like before I think you should definitely talk about it and I don't think it should be something that you hide. But I would also, before you send that text about how you're upset to your friend, like think to yourself, could this be upsetting to them in some way? Or will they be able to understand that I'm okay and give me advice? You know what I mean?
This is random, but I think it's important to like let people know that like I've been in and out of therapy a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've changed therapists 4 times.
Well, that's how it works. If you don't find someone
Yeah.
who you click with, it just isn't gonna, and it's a frustrating process. And it's the same with meds. You don't find meds that work for you, and you have to keep going. But once you find it, it's so worth it.
And I just like I'm currently not going to therapy. Receiving any I'm not
Hmm.
receiving any treatment for my OCD at all. I haven't been receiving treatment specifically for my OCD at all this year.
Hmm.
And like for half of last year too. And they're like my I'm okay. Like that's I don't know. I think like if
It's such a personal process.
yeah.
It's a lot of finding out what works for you.
Okay. So I'm gonna wrap it up
Mhm.
because now this video is an hour long and I'm gonna have to edit it. Okay. So thank you so much, anonymous friend, for coming and talking and sharing. It's been great to have you here. Thank you so much for doing this. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Um, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We will see you next week and or check out part 1 or part 2. Yay, whichever we're missing,
Mhm.
whichever one you haven't seen. Um, and yeah, see you next week. Hugs and sunshine. All right. Bye.